fundamentally.
Hi, this is Siddhartha. Welcome to the Neon Show. Today I have with me my partner Nancy, my co-founder, my everything in life, and I have Vidit. Vidit has been a strategy and design partner, and we have worked with it for the last 9 months from the journey of changing 100x entrepreneur to Neon. And in today's episode, we'll dive deep into what takes in an exercise of complete rebrand. So welcome Nancy and Vidit.
Thank you,
Thank you for
Siddharth.
having me. Yeah.
So first I want to ask you, how can I make you both camera comfortable?
Well, designers like to stay behind the scenes, so this is the first. Yeah.
I wish my humor was good so that I could crack a joke, but my humor is very bad.
Nobody will pretend it was a good joke.
So I'd like to start, Nancy, right? The first call you had with Vidit, like go back in your memory, September 2022. Did you imagine like
And I was recalling all those incidences that we started 100x Entrepreneur with a mobile phone. We had no idea about ब्रांड क्या होता है, कलर्स क्या होते हैं, लोगो में क्या होना चाहिए, लोगो कहाँ कहाँ लगने वाला है. आई हैड नो आइडिया अबाउट दोज थिंग्स. था कि कुछ शुरू करा है और कुछ बेसिक चीज़ें पकड़ ली हैं कि कंसिस्टेंट रहेंगे, एक न्यूज़लेटर बना लेंगे, एक बिकॉज आई न्यू दैट आई वॉज रियली गुड विद कम्युनिटी, सो आई वांटेड टू फोकस ऑन दैट रादर देन लर्निंग न्यू थिंग्स बिकॉज वी ऑलवेज फोकस्ड ऑन बीइंग consistent. So I was like, I know how to build a community, then I will focus on building a community for 100x entrepreneur. जितने भी लोग entrepreneurship में interested हैं, growth में interested हैं, VC space में interested हैं, उनकी एक community बनाएंगे. So that was the mindset. I had no idea about branding, marketing, logo क्या होता है. So I reached out to my friend. She used to work with me at Shiro's. I knew she was a designer. I was like, ये ऐसे करके हमारा podcast है, इसका एक logo बना दो. उसने 3-4 सैम्पल शेयर किए बिकॉज आई हैड नो आइडिया अबाउट लोगोज. माइक देख के जो खुशी आ गई ना कि यार तो बहुत ही बढ़िया लग रहा है, बहुत कूल लग रहा है, बिकॉज आई थिंक इट वॉज माई फर्स्ट स्टार्टअप. आई वॉज सुपर एक्साइटेड अबाउट ऑल दोज थिंग्स. तो इतना ध्यान नहीं गया मेरा कि ये ऐसे होना चाहिए, और मे बी आई वॉज नॉट कमिंग फ्रॉम दैट बैकग्राउंड. तो जैसे जैसे पॉडकास्ट के एपिसोड्स और होते गए हमारे, वी हैड वी स्टार्टेड हैविंग मोर रिसोर्सेज. वी प्राइम इन स्पॉन्सर्ड आवर पॉडकास्ट. थोड़ा और समझ में भी आती रही कि हाँ ठीक है, न्यूज़लेटर बन गया है, 20,000 सब्सक्राइबर्स हो गए हैं, सोशल मीडिया बन गया है. अब थोड़ा समझ में आने लगी थी कि लोग ऐसे. तो आई रीच्ड आउट टू समवन एंड आई आस्क्ड कि अभी हमारे पास थोड़े रिसोर्सेज हैं, आई वांट टू वर्क ऑन वेबसाइट, क्योंकि आई शुड बी प्राउड ऑफ आवर एसेट्स. आई शुड नॉट बी एम्बैरेस्ड ऑन कि यार वेबसाइट ना दिखानी पड़े, बिकॉज आई यूज टू कोल्ड ईमेल टू आवर गेस्ट. सो आई वुड शेयर आवर एपिसोड्स, यूट्यूब एपिसोड्स, स्पॉटिफाई एपिसोड्स विद देम कि हमने इनके साथ पॉडकास्ट किया है, वुड यू लाइक टू जॉइन अस. इफ आई एम रीचिंग आउट टू Zepto founder Adit, I would mention about Hari's podcast, Hari, founder of Big Basket, I would mention. So I would use YouTube link or Spotify because we were not doing video that time. वेबसाइट नहीं यूज़ करनी है क्योंकि बहुत शर्म आ रही है, बहुत गंदी बनी हुई है वेबसाइट, क्योंकि वेबसाइट कॉलेज के फर्स्ट ईयर स्टूडेंट ने बनाई है. तो वी वर प्राउड ऑफ आवर वेबसाइट व्हेन वी स्टार्टेड, बट इवेंचुअली लगा कि हाँ चीज़ें, फ़ोटो ठीक से नहीं दिख रहा है, कलर बहुत लाउड लग रहा है. जब थोड़ा थोड़ा समझ आने लगी, देन आई रीच्ड आउट टू समवन, एंड बिकॉज आई वॉज नॉट श्योर कि करना क्या चाहते हैं, तब तक ये क्लैरिटी थी डेट वी वांटेड टू रीबिल्ड आवर वेबसाइट, लोगों का क्या करना है. एंड वी ऑल्सो स्टार्टेड बिल्डिंग आवर फंड अराउंड दैट टाइम. सो आई रीच्ड आउट टू समवन एंड आई आस्क्ड हिम कि देखो मेरे को वेबसाइट बनानी है. एंड ही वाज लाइक, वेबसाइट तो बनानी है बट हमें लोगों का भी कुछ करना पड़ेगा, बिकॉज योर लोगो हैज़ अ माइक इन इट, एंड नाउ दैट यू ऑल्सो रन अ फंड, सो इट्स नॉट गोइंग विद बोथ द थिंग्स. तो लोगो हटाएंगे तो वो पहला एक शॉक लगा कि यार ये मेरा लोगो जाने वाला है, ये तो मेरा लोगो है। तो बट आई थिंक दैट वाज द फर्स्ट टाइम जब मेरा थोड़ा अटैचमेंट कम होने लगा था। सो ही शेयर्ड 3-4 सैम्पल्स। अगेन आई वाज लाइक नहीं अच्छा लग रहा, एंड आई डिडंट हैव क्लैरिटी कि लोगो चेंज करना है कि नहीं करना है। बट हाँ, थोड़ा ये क्लैरिटी आ गई थी कि आई एम नाउ गेटिंग रेडी फॉर द बिगर चेंज। तो फिर अराउंड दैट टाइम ओनली फॉर्चुनेटली ऑल इन का ब्रांडिंग हुआ था, एंड वी वर सुपर हैप्पी टू सी दैट काइंड ऑफ ब्रांडिंग, बिकॉज when we had started discussing ideas around rebranding, we were not able to associate with big VC brands. We were also not able to associate with YouTubers. कहीं बीच में लाइक कर रहे थे। तो ऑल इन की ब्रांडिंग देख के लगा नहीं, ऐसा नहीं बनना, बट ऐसा कुछ बन सकते हैं हम। ज़रूरी नहीं है हमें कुछ किसी और के जैसा बनने की ज़रूरत है, हमें खुद को ही थोड़ा डिस्कवर करने की ज़रूरत है कि हमने कैसे शुरू किया, क्या हमारी स्ट्रेंथ हैं, क्या वीकनेसेस हैं। सो आई रीच्ड आउट टू कुशल, आई took Kushal's number from Siddhartha, I messaged him and he was so kind. बिना कुछ ही, I think within few seconds he shared Vidit's number, and within few seconds I reached out to him कि देखो हमें ऐसे ऐसे वेबसाइट बनवानी है। That was the only requirement I had. And Vidit से the best thing we did with Vidit was, हमने कभी ये नहीं डिस्कस करा हमें लोगो कराना है चेंज, हमें वेबसाइट करानी है। व्हेन ही मेंशन कि यार मुझे लग रहा है ज़्यादा चीज़ें चेंज होंगी, वी वर ओपन टू दैट आइडिया। हमारा तब तक अटैचमेंट हिल चुका था, तो वी वर गेटिंग रेडी। सो विदित के साथ कुछ कॉल्स हुई और उसमें ना वाइब मैच होने लगी कि हाँ, ही इज़ एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड वेयर वी कम फ्रॉम, वॉट वी वॉन्ट। तो मेरे को लाइक दिस इज़ वन एडवाइस आई वांट टू शेयर विद एवरीवन कि जब भी डिज़ाइनर से काम कराते हो ना, आप किसी ऑफिस में बैठे हो और आप डिज़ाइनर से काम कराते हो, डिज़ाइनर ने कुछ शेयर करो और आप बोलते हो मज़ा नहीं आ रहा, वहीं से फ्रस्ट्रेशन शुरू हो जाती है। वहीं से वो डिज़ाइनर भी गिव अप करने लगता है, वो एक बार शेयर करेगा 2 बार। सो आई थिंक सैम्पल मांगने से अच्छा है आप उसके साथ बैठ के 1 घंटे 2 घंटे कॉल करो, समझाओ तुम्हारा मिशन क्या है, विजन क्या है, क्या बनाना चाहते हो, क्या कर रखा है, क्या बैकग्राउंड है। जस्ट ओन योर सेल्फ, एक्सप्रेस योर थाट्स। सोचो मत कि डिज़ाइनर मुझे जज करेगा। ऑल दीज थिंग्स विल हेल्प हिम अंडरस्टैंड यू, एंड दैट इज़ समथिंग यू नीड, कि दूसरे बंदे को समझ में आ रहा है कि ये बंदा क्या है, क्या करना चाहता है, फिर वो अपने आइडियाज़ लेकर आएगा, एंड देन यू कैन पिक फ्रॉम दोज आइडियाज़। बट यू कांट जस्ट टेल 2-3 थिंग्स कि हमें ना माइक हटाना है और एक 100x का लोगो ला के दे दो, जो फंड में भी बैठ जाए और पॉडकास्ट में बैठ जाए। आई थिंक वो वर्स्ट काइंड ऑफ थिंग यू कैन डू विद द डिज़ाइनर। इट्स बेटर यू टॉक विद दैट पर्सन कि यार हमें समझ नहीं है, बट हम समझने को तैयार हैं, अगर तुम हमें समझाओगे। और ये पॉडकास्ट करा हुआ है, फंड ये कर रहे हैं, फंड और बड़ा बनाएंगे, पॉडकास्ट का स्टूडियो बनाएंगे, ये आइडियाज़ हैं हमारे, लेट्स जस्ट सिट टुगेदर। सो आई थिंक दैट वाज द बेस्ट, एंड फर्स्ट कॉल with it was beyond my imagination at that point in time. I was able to connect with him, and I think I do that in general also, like in my life also. When I like someone, when I feel the vibe is matching, I don't think too much about other things. And I know बहुत ज़्यादा लंबा जा रहा है, but Siddharth did the same thing with our startup. हमारे स्टार्टअप में बहुत सारे ऐसे लोग थे, including me. I was not at all, मतलब फर्स्ट इंटरव्यू में इंग्लिश भी नहीं बोल पा रहे थे। I kept on saying that if you make me understand this, I'll be able to give my 100%. I am a hardworking person, I'll do it. And I was supposed to build a community for them. Still, they gave me a chance. We have one more person. His communication is not that good, but he's really good with certain things. And he's now doing amazing, excellent work. अगर सिद्धार्थ ने चांस नहीं दिया होता, क्योंकि वो जो काम करने आ रहा है, वो जो इंटेंशन से आ रहा है, वो ज़्यादा मैटर करती है, वो कैसे बोल रहे हैं, कैसे कंडक्ट कर रहे हैं। दिस इज़ व्हाट आई बिलीव। सो आई थिंक व्हेन आई हैड लाइक विदित की तो कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स बहुत ही अच्छी है, सो आई एम नॉट जजिंग हिम, बट फर्स्ट कॉल में मेरे को लगा आई रियली वांट टू वर्क विद हिम।
So Vidit, tell us your side of things, right? You had already designed an entire branding experience for one VC, and we were a similar stage VC, right? Plus a podcast. So how did you approach that कि यार काम करना है या नहीं करना, और काम करने के साथ में क्या क्राइटेरिया लेके चलना, बिकॉज ये लोग तो सिर्फ वेबसाइट के लिए आए हैं, राइट? इन्हें और कुछ नहीं चाहिए।
So I had worked with a few VCs before 100x, and it's important for me to not work in a single industry too long because then you get stale. You have similar ideas and you find it hard to get out of the same box. If I've given 10 ideas to all in, I wouldn't want to use the same for you, right? Because you have a very different set of approaches. Now, as much as I try to understand your strategy and your principles, coming out of that aesthetic bucket becomes slightly troublesome. So when you came to me, my first instinct was, okay, another VC brand. But then Nancy was telling me that, you know what, we have a podcast and we feature these people. We've been at this for so long. We haven't missed a single week for the past 3 years, 4 years. I'm like, the discipline and passion it takes means that there's something much more profound that's working beneath it. So the great thing about how you guys approached this was, I don't like taking briefs. I like to look at you and I suggest that, you know what, I think this is where you might need more help. You came to me that, you know what, website is very old school. It's not working very well. We want to be something cool. We want to be like a new age modern brand because we are seeing big changes in our future. And I'm like, okay, what is a website made of? Fundamentally, if I print out a website on a sheet of paper, how would you describe it? There is a section, there is a logo in the corner, there are some fonts here and there is some messaging. So when it becomes design of the independent things also, I'm not just moving around pieces on your existing website. So now if you want to change the color, if you want to change the logo, if you want to change the principle, I asked you that, hey, why are you guys 100x? And you guys are quite attached to it. So Siddharth, would you like to tell me why were you 100x?
Yeah, so it was a very selfish reason. It was a simple reason कि when me and Nancy started building the podcast, लगा मुझे 100x grow करना है as an entrepreneur because the skills that I have is 0 to 1, right? So how do I get to 100x? It's by interacting with people who have been there, right? Founders like Vidit, Misho, Gaurav Manjal, Unacademy, right? Or VCs who have seen these journeys very closely in their first-hand experience, like Rajan Anandan from Peak 15, उस time Tevasik हुआ. So कहता यार सीखना है मतलब because अपने आप में I was feeling very incomplete.
Yeah.
And Siddhartha has been journaling from a very long time. So he would write in his diary that I want to become 100x. I want to become 100x of myself. So I think वहाँ से वो 100x entrepreneur, because we were sure that we wanted to do another startup. So we will be entrepreneurs again. So 100x entrepreneur.
And the thing is, the moment you come to me with something with passion, I need to look at what you guys are. I can't force you into a system that you're not prepared for. If I tell you, you know what, 100x is not working, take this. You might have been convinced because you trust me and move forward. But if your instincts weren't sitting right, like, you know what, we started this company because we wanted to grow. And now you give me a random name which is nice, but doesn't feel like who we are. Then the entire branding exercise, you might use as sexy as any other brand, you might look the best. But that hollowness that you'll feel inside will start bleeding into you a year or 1.5 years later. You'd end up doing what you were doing with 100x because that is what your natural baseline is. So when I started asking you guys that, hey, what about, thinking about it from scratch? I'm not asking you to let go of who you are. You are 100x, you want to grow. You stand for something larger than who you are. You see a vision, you see a future. But fundamentally, I see branding as metaphors. You ask questions, you find answers, and you try to piece things together. Let's say with 100x, I'm like, you're a VC fund, you're a podcast, you're a very physical brand. You exist as people. You're not behind a screen or in a packaging that's coming to people. Your face is literally your brand. It's just under a company name, whichever you call it. So why do you even need a logo? Like, where will you put your logo? On your t-shirt? How many times will you wear that t-shirt? And if you put your logo on a t-shirt, how are you different from every other brand? Let's say you are a VC fund. You have 100 logos in your company. You want to show those logos with pride. Look at this, right? If your logo is so subtle that your portfolios are great, then good, right? That's what you want. You want to pitch them forward. That's who you are. But then your logo doesn't matter. And if you have a very bold logo, then your portfolio logo. But now you're also a podcast. So now when a title sequence comes, you want like the impact that comes in that, oh wow, like something new, something exciting, something brilliant is coming up. Now this dichotomy was very juicy for me to work with, right? And 100x was one metaphor. You said, I want to be 100x of myself. I want to be a better version of myself. 100x, I considered it as something you came up with because you're more from a science or technical background. You're a software as a SaaS company.
I want to measure everything.
You want to measure everything, analytical, scientific. And Nancy was instinct driven. I'm not sure what the theory is, but it feels something is off. And then she'll try to explain it. And midway, I'm like, okay, I see where this is going. I see what she means, right? And this dichotomy was very powerful to balance. So if you remember, one thing I might have said during the calls, which I didn't remember, but Nancy pointed out, is that I had said, if you tell me to change your logo, I will change your logo and give it. But that's all I'll do because that's what you told me. And your happiness is my priority as a designer. So I'll do it, but then I won't think beyond that. If you leave it up to me, I will tell you everything that you need to do, right? And since then, Nancy's like, मेरे को Vidit को कुछ बोलना ही नहीं है. Like I will trust him.
I think I'm like, because everything is so fresh right now. हमने अभी brand launch किया है, अभी event करा है, तो सब कुछ सारी process fresh है. 2-3 साल बाद थोड़ा blur हो जाएंगी चीज़ें. Then what's that 1-2 things I'm always going to remember about Vidit is the time when we were having that call and he said with all the passion he has कि ये 5 नाम है और इन 5 नामों में से जो तुम सेलेक्ट करोगे I will give my heart and soul to make that sound good to you. और मैं तब तक काम करूँगा जब तक तुम्हें नहीं लगता कि ये मेरा ब्रांड है, ये मैं ओन कर सकती हूँ या ये मेरा है. सो आई थिंक दैट वॉज वेरी पावरफुल थिंग टू से. एंड उससे पहले जो भी ज्ञानबाजी विदित ने करी होगी, आई थिंक वो उतना मेरे को याद कुछ नहीं रहेगा. जो मेरे को ये याद रहेगा कि कभी कभी कुछ चीज़ें होती है आप करना चाहते हो बट आपको समझ नहीं आता क्योंकि आपको एक्सपर्टीज़ नहीं होती है उस चीज़ की. देन अदर पर्सन कम्स इन लाइक बिलीव मी, ट्रस्ट मी, आई विल मेक इट हैपन, यू जस्ट हैव टू ट्रस्ट मी. और बस वो कुछ वैल्यूज़ मैच करती है, कुछ थॉट प्रोसेस मैच करते हैं, कुछ आप थोड़ा पहले का काम देखते हो या जो रेफरेंस आता है वो देखते हैं. एंड देन यू क्लोज योर आइज, पूरा आप बता देते हो ये चाहिए. एंड देन यू ट्रस्ट द प्रोसेस, ट्रस्ट द पर्सन एंड यू वेट फॉर द आउटकम. एंड आई थिंक
and this is something very important for a design agency is because we get so involved in your story, it feels like कि ये मेरा ही है, right? So the more trust and faith you give us, the more we want to push ourselves to try and do better. So everything starts off with a commercialized contract, like we can change this, we can change that. So if I am boxed in that system, it becomes a transactional thing. Fundamentally, it's an exchange of service. So we would start with that always, right? And मेरे पास तब तो वेबसाइट भी नहीं थी, काम भी नहीं था. I had just left my job and I couldn't show a lot of my work. And you just saw कि यार all in किया है, बढ़िया है. I talked to him, he seems like he can do something and we'll go forward with it. So when we started the names, we had like first round में we had 150-200 names. And it was a large list, right? And how it starts is name never drops as like one thing out of the shining dark. You sit with 100 things, you let it ferment in your head for a while, and एक हफ्ते बाद जो नहीं सड़ा you take that and move forward, because there are a lot of flings in names. A name sounds so sexy at the start, but then you sit with it for a week and you're like कि ठीक है, it was good for a one-time watch. It's not something you can watch always. So we started with that name, and I remember the dichotomy of your personalities was also happening in the calls. I think
अगर ये ब्रांडिंग एक्सरसाइज सिर्फ सिद्धार्थ के लिए हो रही होती तो बहुत ही ईजी रहता. कुछ भी बहुत सीरियस से कुछ बहुत ही ऐसे नाम सिद्धार्थ को दो और वो एक पिक कर लेते हैं, हो जाता. बट आई थिंक वी बोथ हैव वेरी डिफरेंट पर्सनैलिटीज़. सो 2 लोगों को कन्विंस करना एक चीज़ के लिए इज़ द मोस्ट चैलेंजिंग थिंग टू डू. एंड आई ऑल्सो रिमेंबर वन फनी इंसिडेंट्स. विदित एक टाइम ऐसा आ गया था जब हमें लगा यार विदित से तो अच्छा हमें कोई समझ ही नहीं रहा है. मतलब वो जो लेकर आ रहा है,
you became a relationship counselor. साथ में एक घंटा बैठा रहते थे.
एक टाइम पे वो एक मूवी में एक्टर बोलते हैं ना कि भगवान समझने लगते हो आप कि अब तो आप जो करोगे वो सही है. तो वो हमारा विदित के साथ वो टाइम आ गया था कि विदित जो लेकर आ रहा था, लोगो लेकर आ रहा था, हम कह रहे थे यार क्या लोगो लग रहा है, हम लोग बस एक दूसरे को देखते थे, वाह अच्छा लग रहा है, फिर कॉल के बाद भी हम लोग तारीफ कर रहे हैं यार क्या सही काम कर रहे हैं. बट एक बार क्या हुआ, हम लोग कॉल कर रहे थे और क्योंकि आकाश जिन्होंने वेबसाइट डिज़ाइन करी है उससे पहले भी हम लोग काफ़ी सारा काम एक दूसरे के साथ कर चुके थे. लाइक कबीर के जो स्कूल टाइमिंग 2 घंटे के होता था, वो 2 घंटे हमारे हर दिन के रिजर्व थे, सिर्फ हमें बातें करनी है, कोई एजेंडा नहीं है, हमें बातें करनी है. तो काफ़ी काम हम उस आकाश वाली कॉल से पहले कर चुके थे. देन आकाश केम इनटू द पिक्चर, दैट वाज आवर फर्स्ट कॉल. विदित ने जब हमें इंट्रोड्यूस कराया तो बोला ये हमारे अभी तक के सबसे अच्छे क्लाइंट्स हैं. तो क्योंकि शायद कहने का मतलब कुछ और होगा, बट ये ऐसे साउंड करा मेरे को कि मैं जो भी इनको दिखाता हूँ वो इनको अच्छा लगता है, तो बहुत ईजी टू वर्क विद है. वो चीज़ मेरे को पहली बार तारीफ़ नहीं लगी अपनी. मेरे को ऐसा लगा कहीं तो ऐसा तो नहीं है कि आई एम बैक इन 2018 कि आई डोंट नो अबाउट थिंग्स, जो मेरे सामने आ रहा है क्योंकि वो पहले से बेहतर है, मेरे को अच्छा लग रहा है. कहीं ये तो नहीं हो रहा है यार इतने पैसे खर्चा हो रहे हैं, इतना टाइम जा रहा है और फिर से ऐसा हो कि 4 साल बाद हम फिर किसी और के साथ बैठ के वो काम करो. तो मेरे को वो थोड़ा सा मेरे को डर लगा, पिंच करा. देन फिर वेबसाइट का आकाश के साथ कुछ 2-4 कॉल्स हुई, फिर बहुत लंबा गैप आ गया. वी वर ट्रैवलिंग, आकाश वॉज ऑल्सो टेकिंग लॉट ऑफ टाइम टू बिल्ड द वेबसाइट, सो देयर वाज गैप. एंड तब तक विदित का रोल थोड़ा कम हो चुका था, आकाश वॉज इन द पिक्चर, बट विदित के साथ हम बहुत ज़्यादा टाइम स्पेंड कर रहे थे और आकाश के साथ में नहीं कर पा रहे थे. और आकाश के साथ जब भी कॉल होती थी वी वुड टॉक अबाउट टेक्निकल थिंग्स, नॉट द रैंडम स्टफ इन लाइफ और आवर ब्रांड. तो आई वॉज लाइक दैट टाइम आई हैड नो आइडिया अब कैसा निकल के आने वाली चीज़ें, क्योंकि अभी तक हम लोग ना सिर्फ बात कर रहे हैं कि हमारा वाइब लेवल मैच कर रहा है, हमारा कलर मैच कर गया, हमारा लोगो मैच कर गया, पर लोगो तो एक जगह चिपकने वाला है ना, या ब्रांड हमें अच्छा लग रहा है बट क्या हम कैरी कर पाएंगे, वो डिफरेंट चीज़ें थी. बट जो वेबसाइट आएगी वो मेन चीज़ है. तो क्या विदित वो सारी फीलिंग्स, इमोशंस, हमारे आइडियोलॉजी आकाश को कन्वे कर पा रहा है, बिकॉज वी ऑल नेवर टॉक्ड इन वन कॉल. फिर जब वेबसाइट आई देन आई वाज लाइक आई थिंक हम लोगों ने कोई चेंजेस ज़्यादा बताए नहीं है,
like
टेक्स्ट के अलावा.
फंडामेंटल हल्का चीज़ था.
हाँ.
And this thing was something very nice that Akash and I have. Like there's so much mutual understanding and respect between each other that I would sit with him, tell him that, you know what, this is the brand, this is what we made, these are the things we've worked on, you know, these guys do this, these guys do that. We have a weekly 3 calls that we do, and we just talk about what's happening and the work that's happening. So when I told him that, you know, these are the best clients we work with, is because they trusted us and they are ready to listen if we go deeper.
Yeah.
Because designers don't want to go too deep if the client is just going to not want to listen to you, right? So we'll do what's good, but we won't place ourselves and our hearts in it. We won't try to go कि अच्छा ये छोटा सा चीज़ भी और कर देते हैं. The thing that I really like in design is what I call micro delight. If you were to
explain micro delight. अभी हमने 2-3 दिन पहले ये वर्ड फिगर आउट करा है.
So fundamentally, if you were to say, it's sasta nasha, right? Like you see something, it's nice, it's like, oh nice, it feels good. And that is how people would usually perceive visual design, that it looks nice, it looks good. But nowadays, it is expected to have a design. Whether it be good or bad, you need to have design. 100x entrepreneur had a design. Call it good, call it bad, it need to have something, right? So now it's table stakes. There needs to be something. And now people are exposed to these big fancy brands, right? There is no like limitations of it. So micro delight to me is, let's say, the little motives that if someone notices, it's like an Easter egg. Oh, that was so cute. So when we did the event and there was the launch, the little tent card that we had, the coasters, the pattern that it formed, the cute, cringy lines that we had on the standees, those didn't have serve any functional purpose. You were not getting more investors, you were not selling more views. Nothing was happening because of that. It simply existed to put a smile on people's face and to think, yeah, we care about what we do. That is what micro delight is. You put in enough care in something that you notice the slightest bump in them and you work on it. So when I said they're the best clients to work with, is because we can give as many little nuggets and exciting pieces as we want and they would appreciate it. We wouldn't have to worry about running in circles. Because the thing with micro delight is, if you start critically analyzing micro delight, it dies. It's the, let's say, main course. But when you go for a restaurant and you order the main course, अगर सामने एक cute सा napkin holder रखा है, that's not heightening your food experience, but it puts a smile कि cute. That's what those little things were. So the little animations we have on our website, the little icons we spattered across, those are what we were able to do because you guys trusted us so much.
So one thing which I want to discuss is, you could have made us like any other VC website, and we would have been like, okay with it. but why did you want to be different? Because being different is like hard.
Risky.
Because
It's
right,
risky.
कल को 100 लोग point करेंगे यार ये चमकता हुआ neon color क्यों है मतलब.
So the thing with VC startups is, let's go back to branding, right? What is branding supposed to do? Is branding supposed to look good? I don't know. Do you like KFC का branding? Do you find the character to be sexy and you're like, oh wow, क्या Colonel Sanders है, मजे आ गए? I don't think so, but it works. Do you think brand is supposed to be premium? यार हल्दीराम क्या brand एकदम कड़क. Like, it's not premium, but you trust it with your heart कि इसका भुजिया ही खाएंगे हम जिंदगी में. And if you think, is branding supposed to be different? I have to stand out. Makes sense, huh? What is branding supposed to be? Branding is basically, if we're in a dark room and I see a note written on the paper, I should read it and say कि अच्छा नैन्सी मेरे लिए नोट लिखी है. It should be clear कि नैन्सी ने लिखा कि सिद्धार्थ ने लिखा. I don't see who you are. हैंड राइटिंग भी नहीं है, तो प्रिंट आउट करके टाइप किया हुआ मैसेज है, राइट? आई शुड स्टिल नो हु रोट इट. ब्रांडिंग इज बेसिकली knowing who you are.
Branding is knowing who you are, but I think most brands thinks making customers feel who they are.
True, right? So if I am someone who wants to be liked by you, right, I will try to put on a personality expression that works, and that is a good thing. A lot of consumer brands should do that because the brand exists for the people. They are a product-centric brand. You are a people-centric brand. The brand is supposed to be as true to you because you are carrying the face. McDonald's doesn't care about who created McDonald's because on the about page वो life story उतना अच्छे से प्यार से नहीं लिखा है. It's an organization. An organization needs to care about the customers. You need to care about who you are honestly because you are the product. So branding can be visual. Let's say if I compare you and All In, I did both of the designs. Both of them are brands, both of them are VC spaces. Fundamentally, if you were supposed to look at it, दोनों में एक font है, दोनों में एक color है, दोनों के पास एक logo है, दोनों के पास animation है. So if you were to एकदम like bear it down to fundamentals, right, you would see the basic pieces are the same to play with. There are only so many ways you can communicate. Let's say websites didn't exist. What is branding then? The internet exist नहीं करता. You make theater podcast. You go to a place, record करते हो, लोग इकट्ठा होते हैं, सुनते हैं. How would your branding exist then? You don't have a website. You'd still need something, right? Inox and PVR में you can still differentiate. So branding is basically who you are, and then you look at where am I talking. You talk in your website, you talk on YouTube, you talk physically in person, and you do a lot of calls. You guys do your fund and podcast, you're meeting a lot of people, talking to a lot of people. So to me, your brand existed in these facets. Now, if you keep those in considerations, you already start realizing what is important. If I made a funky ass branding with a lot of colors and visuals and illustrations, it would look very cool in my presentation, not on your Instagram, because who would execute it then? You're a 2-person team with like a few people that you hire to do other things. You don't have a dedicated design team who's going to execute it. And I can't rely on being the only person who does design for you. That's a very selfish way to think. I need to give you a brand based on your capacity. If you told me, Vidit, मैं ही बैठ के बनाएगी, मेरे को इलस्ट्रेटर नहीं आता, कैनवा में ही बनाएगी, मैं करके दो मेरे को. I can't be like, oh, you know what, do good design, you only need to do this software. I should be able to give you good design in Word document. It should work in that, right? Because good branding is fundamentally how you can differentiate yourself. उसके लिए if you want to use black and white font, Arial, doesn't matter as long as you're able to differentiate yourself. So when you guys were trying to differentiate yourself from all these people and try to be a podcast and try to be a fund, I'm like, what can we do that's different enough that you can confidently own, and you don't have to stress about doing branding? It becomes effortless, because if you have to take so much effort that you're doing branding, how will you do a good podcast? How will you worry about LPs and get fund if you're worried about कि अच्छा illustration का character ठीक नहीं लग रहा, right? You have to be able to own it. And we had 5 names, right? Do you remember which ones they were?
Yeah, Nudge,
Yeah. Snowball, Outdo,
Outdo.
With Us,
And there's
Armstrong.
also Armstrong, yeah. So out of like 200, 250, 300 names, we came down to these names. I remember in the first call, Siddhartha, we had like these 150 names. Siddhartha was like, choose करने बोलोगे तो एक कर लेंगे, but कुछ मजा आ नहीं रहा है. And Nancy like, हाँ, these 2-3 names could be interesting, but we'll have to sit. And that was the
And I
first.
still remember Vidit and I, we both liked Neon, but Siddharth was not liking the name, and then he was insisting that we should be more inclined towards
Nudge.
Snowball and Nudge. फिर नच का शायद कुछ और था एक, तो फिर हम
भाई
नच,
इतना बड़ा चीज़ नहीं जो सोशल वर्क में है.
हाँ
Something
कुछ
in
तो
Bangalore only,
था,
yeah.
हाँ. देन मेरे को अचानक से याद आया कि when I and Vidit think about neon, the first thought comes, the first visual that comes to our mind is the color, and I realized Siddharth is a color blinded person. ये हम लोग क्या कर रहे हैं? It's like मेरे को ऐसा लगा कि यार हम लोग पिछले 1 घंटे से इनको बोल रहे हैं कि नियॉन इसलिए अच्छा है, नियॉन इसलिए अच्छा है, नियॉन इसलिए, बट जो विजुअल है जो मेरे और विदित के दिमाग में आ रहा है वो सिद्धार्थ के दिमाग में नहीं आ रहा है, क्योंकि उनको नियॉन कलर ही नहीं पता है. Then like we started showing him neon colors on Google कि this is the color, this is the brightest color, the brightest shade of that color.
I think
And
more
it-
than that, क्योंकि जब ये 5 नाम I gave it to people who I respect the most, like Kshitij, my partner, and Vijay, who has been a mentor to me. तो जब उन लोगों को नियॉन चमका तो मुझे लगा कि हाँ यार, मतलब there is something in it which I don't realize it, but I am a kind of personality that
But you are
trusts
not a
the
people's
process.
person. When you decide something, you do that. So you can't.
हाँ, but for me it's more important कि यार they are stakeholders, right? So अगर मुझे कोई चीज़ नहीं चमक रही और उन्हें चमक रही है तो, और मेरा ऐसा भी था कि आई वॉज कम्प्लीटली अगेंस्ट इट, मुझे नज और स्नोबॉल ज़्यादा सही लग रहा था, बट मुझे लगा कि यार क्षितिज और विजय को भी अगर नियॉन चमक रहा है तो समथिंग इन द नेम, और नैन्सी को भी है और विदित को भी है, सो लेट मी ट्रस्ट द प्रोसेस ऑफ गोइंग हेड.
And the thing is, the shortlist that we would come at, I would be like on it, right? कि अरे you might be liking this name, पर रहने देते हैं, कोई बात नहीं, like I think इसमें restrictions आएंगी, थोड़ा limited लग रहा है, रहने देते हैं. Because the thing about branding is, I don't know what I'm giving you until it's made. It's a black box process. I know how to get a good answer because I can trust my skills, and I can trust that what we talked and understood, we understand what you want to build. But when the project starts, I couldn't have told you that you would be getting this color. मैं ऐसे लिख के नहीं दे सकता था.
We couldn't have imagined these posters that are in the office today. Right?
I wouldn't have even imagined making these posters at the start of the thing. This was not in the initial scope, whatever thing, right? We like, हाँ logo है, ये है, visual language, website, everything. But once the brand starts coming live, you realize the places it can exist in. If your name was Snowball, ये furniture होता क्या हमारे पास?
कुछ और होता है.
कुछ और होता, ये शायद snowman का एक little toy होता या कुछ होता, right? But these chairs wouldn't exist. And these chairs look pretty cool. And this is how we imagine neon to be, right?
I also remember Vidit mentioned this thing during the exercise, that you have to think about people you look up to, or the brands, or the people, or the communities you look up to. So we, gave, like we shared 5-10 names. And whenever we would talk about rebranding, we made sure that podcast part doesn't dilute. We started with podcast, so we should be owning ourselves throughout our journey. Like we have been doing that and we should be doing that. कि ये नहीं कि अब आज से हम फंड हैं, कोई पॉडकास्ट हम नहीं करते हैं. पॉडकास्ट करते थे बट मज़ा नहीं आया, अब हम फंड करते हैं या करेंगे, बट एक छोटा सा टैब लगा देंगे वेबसाइट पे और देखेंगे कि आज इस महीने किया, इस महीने नहीं किया. लाइक पॉडकास्ट से शुरू करा था, पॉडकास्ट को और अच्छा बनाएंगे. एंड वही हमारी फ़िलॉसफी थी कि वी वांटेड टू बिकम बेटर. तो हम हर चीज़ में बेटर बनेंगे, हर चीज़ को बेटर करेंगे, पॉडकास्ट को भी बेटर करेंगे. फंड भी हमने सिंडिकेट से शुरू करा, अब हमने प्रॉपर फंड बनाया हुआ है, वी हैव अ वेबसाइट एंड एवरीथिंग. सो आई रिमेंबर विदित ने जब बोला था कि अगर फंड है, सिर्फ फंड है, तो कलर इतना इम्पॉर्टेंट नहीं है, क्योंकि आप हर दिन वहाँ पर नहीं हो. But you guys also have a community, you have a YouTube channel, so because and we were releasing one shot every day, we have been doing that. So we should choose a color that only defines everything about you. Like, people can identify you with that color. You don't need a logo, you don't need a mascot or anything like that. So if neon के साथ वो color की आ रहा है पिक्चर में, वो इमेजिन कर पा रहे हो आप, देन we should be moving towards that direction, because on our YouTube channel and all the audio platforms, we will be out there every day, so we can own that color. And
I get what you're trying to say, that how we thought about those colors is the fact that your logo is less important,
Yes,
primarily,
yes.
because you also are a podcast and a fund, right? Now, the reason for owning a color, let's say Tiffany and Company, right, the jewelry company, they have such a beautiful teal color, and they've owned the color. Their logo is a simple serif font, and like you don't even think it's a different thing, but you remember the company. I still remember the color in my head. I realized that designers can't design in a bubble. I can't be like, your YouTube thumbnails, you figure out, I'll give you a system, go ahead. I need to see who is making the YouTube thumbnails. I need to see their aesthetic. If they're a person who is used to making the traditional YouTube thumbnails with like large pictures and those clickbait icons, those work. I can't sit and diss here कि अरे क्या thumbnail बना दिया. If it's getting you clicks, design is irrelevant if your value is coming out of it, right? So if I make a design and they can't execute it, it falls apart. I could have given you a fancy identity system with multiple colors and maybe layout systems or image treatments ki collage ki tarah banao and textures use karo. You could have been a lot of things. But what was important is in this space itself, right? There is not a single logo of our brand. But if I look at this frame, it feels very iconic to me because of the splashes of color, because of the hint of neon. Because anyone who watches that video will know who they're watching. Like, you don't need to plaster it everywhere. They know they've come to the neon channel and these things are reiterating it, right? And we have control over the video. कोने में डाल देंगे एक छोटा सा logo. Why does it need to be in the space? Then you're just being loud in front of the people. So when this color idea came out and Siddhartha like कि तुम लोग को ठीक लग रहा है तो ले लो, because I still don't know what color he sees these chairs as. क्या color दिख रहा है इसे?
नियॉन, ग्रीन और येलो तीनों एक जैसे लगते हैं.
सिद्धार्थ वाज टीचिंग कबीर कलर्स, और कबीर को सिद्धार्थ ने कबीर को पूछा ये कौन सा कलर है, कबीर सेड रेड. तो सिद्धार्थ टर्न टुवर्ड्स मी एंड ही वाज लाइक सही बोल रहा है ये. लाइक आई हैव टू टेल दिस टू विदित नेक्स्ट मॉर्निंग कि वी आर गोइंग विद नियॉन.
That was the conclusion statement.
Yeah. We don't need more inputs from Siddharth now on neon.
And this is the thing, that how the process was different with you guys is that you were attached to 100x, right? And transitioning to something which was not a number was hard for you because people had started communicating in your language.
Yes. Let's become 100x.
Our founders were thinking यार ये तो 100x कर देंगे, and LPs were thinking ये पैसा 100x कर देंगे. तो मतलब
but यार हमें ना पता था, but हमें पता था, we had this clarity कि whenever you hire a designer or whenever you work with the most creative person, you have to trust the person, you have to trust the process, and you have to keep your mind open to all the possibilities. You can't say कि यार हम फंड है, हमें फंड जैसा साउंड करना है, तो ये टॉप के इंडिया के फंड्स है, ये टॉप ग्लोबल फंड्स है, हमें बस इनके जैसा बना दो.
That reminds me like the ChatGPT thing that I did, right? So the thing is, you came to me for strategy and naming and everything, right? We decided कि 100x change करके सब अच्छे से सोचते हैं, what can we be, what is a good messaging, because the messaging is not just lying in a pitch deck. It needs to bleed down in your podcast. It needs to be like when you're meeting people, they're like, yeah, you guys are this person, right? And I don't believe in manifesto documents. मैं आपको 40 पेज का डॉक्यूमेंट लिख के दे दूंगा, you're like कि हाँ एग्जाम है, रट्टा मार लेंगे, बोल लेंगे किसी को. It doesn't work like that. So what was important is I can sit and talk to you and I can make you feel the instincts of the brand, that okay, this is I think what I am, because you'll have to talk about it. When you drunk in a party and someone asks you, why are you neon? You can't look at some reference. You'll have to say it from inside yourself. So the name that you would instinctively gravitate towards is what we should rely on, because I think branding is very instinctive.
इट्स लाइक एक वार्डरोब में कपड़े पड़े हुए हैं, वो पहन के ही मैं नियॉन वाली वाइब दूंगा कि आज वीसी इवेंट में जाना है, आज वो नियॉन शर्ट निकालते हैं. यू हैव टू sound neon, you have to be neon because you are neon.
You have to
You
be
don't
neon.
have to pretend. And हमने एक और reason था why we finalized on neon. One more philosophy we had कि we come from different background. We never thought when we started the podcast that we would be a VC fund someday. So we had this unconventional journey and we are learning step by step. अभी 10 year अभी फंड रेस कर लिया तो आई कांट से ऑन दिस पॉडकास्ट कि पता नहीं 5 साल बाद क्या करोगे. वी विल बी डूइंग दिस फंड बट इसी तरीके से कर रहे होंगे, नॉट श्योर. इसी स्केल पे कर रहे होंगे, नॉट श्योर. कौन से लोगों से रेस करेंगे, नॉट श्योर. आवर फिलोसफी में डिफर विद टाइम.
different the DNA of being very different, right? Because journey बहुत unusual रही है. When I applied to VC funds, सबने मना कर दिया था क्योंकि मुझे तो पॉडकास्ट एक साल किया तब क्लियर था यार कि VC में जाके सीखना है. अब थ्योरी सीख ली, प्रैक्टिकल. सबने मना कर दिया कि यार यू आर नॉट अ MBA, यू आर नॉट अ कुणाल शाह लाइक एग्जैक्ट. वही तुम्हें ले क्यों जब इतने सारे अच्छे मैकेंजी वाले बैठे हैं.
और VC फर्म्स स्टैब्लिश्ड है इंडिया में, या तो ग्लोबल VC फंड्स हैं उनकी आर्म्स इंडिया में हैं. माइक्रो VC फंड्स अभी बूम करना शुरू हुए हैं. तो वी बिलोंग टू वी बिलोंग टू दैट एज. सो लेट्स नॉट प्रिटेंड टू बी लाइक समवन एल्स, बड़े VC फंड के जैसे. लेट्स ओन आवर जर्नी. वी आर यंग, वी नो दैट. वी नो लेस देन द अदर बिग VC funds. We know that. We will be making more mistakes than them. We know that. So we are young, but we are bold. We will be making choices. We will not wait कि बड़ा VC पैसे डाल रहा है, चलो पैसे डालते हैं. We have our own thesis and we will imply that. We will see what happens. But we are not here to follow someone else, to be someone else. And I think neon मेरे लिए वही है, that I am being myself. And I have my own thesis, I have my own identity. I will be doing things अपनी thesis को follow करके, अपनी जो मेरा दिमाग है, जो मेरी wisdom है, जो मेरे साथ में लोग काम कर रहे हैं. I don't want to be someone else. And that's how I resonate with neon.
Yeah.
And we come from different backgrounds. We like extreme opposites. We both identify with neon. So it's like the perfect fit for us.
And I remember asking Siddhartha that I knew Nancy could be neon. I could see, and like, hey, she's neon, man. She'll shine. But I'm like, Siddhartha, do you feel neon? Do you think you can be neon? He's like, बोलोगे तो कर लूँगा मैं. I'm like perfect. Now I'll tell you how to be neon, right? And the same principle I said that I don't want you to have a logo. I want you to walk into a room and people be like, he's the neon guy. So the naam hi kafi hai mindset starts coming into it. And
by the time I had started wearing neon tops in the calls कि ये कैसा लग रहा है.
And that's when I realized that there is so much potential for us to extend, is because every little context I drop, Nancy would dive deep into like, oh wow, look at that, I found this neon sofa, it would look so cool, right? And I'm like, if these people are ready to extend this so much, there's a lot of things you can squeeze out. One thing I believe brands should fundamentally have is range. Neon seems simple on the face of it. There is a logo, there are triangular things, radiation things that come out, and there is a color. Fundamentally, everything revolves around that. If it's such a basic thing, then how do we cook exciting things out of it, right? So what's important is that you try to squeeze it as much as possible. What that means is, okay, we have triangular shapes. Sometimes we have like a big poster which is like radiating out. Sometimes they put these little sparks coming out of things. Sometimes we have like a spotlight made out of triangle. Sometimes we make like a poster that's like a chaotic triangle mess, right? We extend it in the context. So if I just give you, this is the color, this is the layout, use it. You'd use it for 1 month, 2 months. Then you tell your YouTube thumbnail guy to, अब तो सब सेम दिख रहा है, कुछ और बना. And then 1 year later, I'd look your YouTube podcast again. I'm like, अरे बनाया तो मैंने कुछ और था, ये क्या हो गया? So if a brand doesn't have range, it won't survive. It needs to constantly do new things. And that doesn't mean you guys won't change. Maybe 5 years down the line, you guys are badass successful, you're like micro VC तो भूल जाओ हम लोग तो बहुत बड़ी VC बन गए. Then you'll sit one day and think, are we still Neon or are we something else? And at that point, you will probably think that does it make sense to change everything? Because there are stakes, right? You already had stakes with 100x कि यार सब लोग 100x बोलते हैं, change कर दे. सीखेंगे लोग. Will people care enough to learn everything again? And if you are true to yourself, people will try to pick up, right? Because if they think you're doing it to sell them, they'll be like, yeah, they've commercialized themselves. If you do it because it makes sense, then they'll understand. And the way we've designed and branded things is we just bled it into every touch point. We have posters across the space, we have furniture, we have animations on the website. The content that we write has such a neon tone to it now. Neon and on and on and on.
So we recently had our launch event and I was because 4 साल से यही सारे काम कर रहे हैं, VC इवेंट में जा रहे हैं. हमारा नहीं है इसलिए ब्रैगिंग, हमारा है इसलिए ब्रैगिंग नहीं कर रहे हैं. दिस वॉज द फर्स्ट टाइम आई नोटिस फाउंडर्स टेकिंग पिक्चर्स ऑफ एवरीथिंग देयर. स्टैंडी का पिक्चर ले रहे हैं फाउंडर्स, इंस्टाग्राम पे डाल रहे हैं. टेंट कार्ड का जहाँ पे हमने ड्रिंक्स को कस्टमाइज कर दिया था वहाँ का फोटो डाल रहे हैं.
That point on the tent card, right, is where the trust that you'd given me paid off. We made the tent card 12 hours before the event,
yes.
Right? I came to Bangalore.
And
I entered.
Vidit was too much into the process. मतलब 2 घंटे में, मतलब अगले दिन हमारा इवेंट होने वाला है. We had lots of other important things to work on.
2 घंटे में प्रिंटर बन रहा है.
और हमने डिसाइड करा कि नहीं टेंट कार्ड बनाएंगे. टेंट कार्ड हमने किसी और चीज़ के लिए सोचा था, पर हमें लगा कि यार वो सही नहीं हो रहा है, तो अभी टेंट कार्ड को छोड़ते हैं, अभी सिर्फ इंपॉर्टेंट चीज़ों पर ध्यान देते हैं. Vidit was like कि उन्होंने हमें स्टैंडर्ड मेन्यू में कौन कौन से ड्रिंक्स दिए. एंड राम एंड आई वुड सिट एंड वी वुड टेल हिम कि एक कॉस्मोपॉलिटन ड्रिंक है, एक मोइतो ड्रिंक है,
एक विस्की सार और एक द कस्टम ड्रिंक आइडिया वाज आल्सो समथिंग वी केम अप विद अ वीक बैक कि हम
राम का आइडिया था कि यार सब कुछ नियॉन हो रहा है, एक ड्रिंक नियॉन बनवा देते हैं, कितना अच्छा लगेगा. VC इवेंट में सब लोग ग्रीन कलर की ड्रिंक पी रहे हैं. देन सिद्धार्थ कॉल्ड देम कि आप ग्रीन कलर की ड्रिंक बना दोगे. दे वर लाइक बना देंगे. फिर उसके बाद में क्योंकि वी वर वेरी नर्वस बिफोर दिस इवेंट बिकॉज दैट वाज द फर्स्ट टाइम वी वर कॉलिंग 150 पीपल. वी सेंट इनवाइट टू 300 पीपल.
नैंसी वाज कि यार JW मैरिट में करने, मैंने कहा भाई आई मीन 10 लाख रुपीस ऑफ लोन फ्रॉम माय मदर, तो JW मैरिट के लिए 20-25 लाख का लोन लेना पड़ेगा, मतलब राइट. जो बाप की हालत में थी बेटी की शादी में, तो वैसे ही मत करो मेरी हालत, ठीक है. तो मैंने कहा दिस 10 लाख रुपीस लोन.
We were on way to Daisy and we had decided कि हम Daisy के साथ ही जाएंगे. तो ये 3-4 हफ्ते पहले की बात है इवेंट से. तो हमें लगा कि यार ये हमारा पहला इवेंट हो रहा है ऐसे इस लेवल पे, अब हमें Daisy रोज़ आना चाहिए क्योंकि घर से पास में भी है. एंड वी शुड फील every nook and corner. We were so nervous, I think. I was very nervous about those things.
So sure कि यार यहाँ पे तुम कंटेंट करोगे सिद्धार्थ, मतलब जहाँ में कंटेंट कैसे करोगे.
I was like ये प्लेस ना थोड़ा पार्टी वाला है, इसको लाइट रखते हैं. बट सिद्धार्थ एंड क्षितिज ऑल्सो ज्वाइंड, देन शहजाद फ्रॉम जोवियो टीम ही ऑल्सो ज्वाइंड. एंड उन्होंने थोड़ा उसको कि नहीं एक पैनल करते हैं, एक स्पीकर करते हैं, ये तो आना ही चाहिए, इस वाले का तो जरूर लेकर आना है.
The 6 people that spoke at the event, it was a perfect combination. मतलब ना less ना over.
कितने एफर्ट उसके लिए डालने पड़े,
एफर्ट डालने पड़े. बट
मैं लैपटॉप में खड़ा था कि हाँ प्रेजेंटेशन हो रहा है, वीडियो चल रहा है, नहीं चल रहा है, बेचारा अरविंद भागे जा रहे हैं.
तो हमने ना अपनी सारी मीटिंग्स डेजी में करना शुरू कर दी. हमसे कोई मिलने आ रहा है, हम किसी से मिलने जा रहे हैं, हम डेजी में मिल रहे हैं.
कितने बढ़िया कॉकटेल थे.
एक दिन सिद्धार्थ ने ऐसे बोला आपके पास कोई ग्रीन कलर की ड्रिंक है, कोई कॉकटेल है. एंड ही सजेस्टेड वन कीवी जिन एंड टॉनिक.
2 या 3 दिन पहले बस.
2 या 3 दिन पहले. उससे पहले हम वेलकम ड्रिंक ग्रीन डिसाइड कर चुके थे, पर वो सिरप था, सिर्फ सिरप एंड वाटर.
अरे व्हेन आई वाज डूइंग द टेंट कार्ड मैं आइकन बना रहा हूँ एंड आई एम लाइक नैंसी ये ड्रिंक मेन्यू में है कि नहीं, मेरे को प्रिंट करवाना है.
एंड आई कॉल्ड Arun, I confirmed in. And इवेंट होने वाला है कल. अतुल इवेंट होने वाला है. 7 बजे प्रिंटिंग शॉप बंद होने वाली है. 5 बजे विदित मेरे से कह रहा है कि वो जो ड्रिंक है जिन एंड टॉनिक, उसका फोटो दिखाना, उसकी ग्लास की शेप देखनी. लाइक विदित ग्लास मत लगाओ, बिल्कुल टाइम नहीं बचा है, दिखा दो एक बारी.
और इसमें दिखाना है विदित को, रोजमेरी भी दिखानी है.
नहीं कि इस ग्लास के अंदर क्या पड़ा हुआ है, लाइक रोजमेरी डाला हुआ है, रोजमेरी की एक पत्नी बनाई हुई है उसमें. बट आई थिंक एवरीवन हु अटेंडेड द इवेंट loved the details.
Neon and on.
Love the details. सबके मैसेजेस में एक नीचे आ रहा है कि लाइक अमेजिंग, लाइक दिस इज द फर्स्ट इवेंट, VC इवेंट जहाँ पर इतनी डिटेल ओरिएंटेड प्रोसेसेस फॉलो की गई हैं.
And this is where thinking contextually matters. So Neon ka we had a language, we had a tone, bringing into the spotlight the highlights of the event, like it flows naturally, right? So tent card ka naam earlier you were thinking today's highlights, yeah, today's spotlights, and it would have passed. I think people would have understood how it's coming around, but it was not contextual because we had the drinks, right? And drinks में तो हम like Nancy एक आइडिया आया है, ग्लास बनाने का मन करे, शी लाइक विदित नाम लिख दे, कोई बात नहीं, लाइक लोग को अच्छा लगेगा. नाम में हम लोग इतना सोच रहे हैं, नियोपोलिटन, नियॉन एंड ऑन, सैस इट अप, डील क्लोजर, लाइक वी हैड सच कूल नेम्स एंड लाइक नाम ही काफी है, लेट्स गो फॉरवर्ड. आई एम लाइक क्यूट सा आइकन बनाएंगे ना, बड़ा मजा आएगा. एंड आई टुक द ग्लास शेप, आई लुक्ड एट द रेसिपी फ्रॉम गूगल कि कैसे बनाते हैं, ड्रिंक में क्या क्या होता है, रोट इट डाउन, मेड अ मेन्यू आउट ऑफ इट, बिकॉज people would come to the bar and ask कि अच्छा LIT देना, and the bartender would like sir नहीं ये नहीं मिलेगा अभी.
चलेगा.
How bad it would have sounded, right?
इवेंट से आधा घंटे पहले हम लोग बारटेंडर को बोल रहे हैं ये मेन्यू है और ये रेसिपी, अगर सैसेट आप कोई मांगे ना तो आपको ये देना है.
And the drinks are fundamental. Mojito, whiskey, sir, cosmopolitan, gin and tonic. These are basic drinks. But I saw people at the bar like, you know what? Neon and on पी लिया है, अब Neapolitan try करते हैं, because the name made them feel like it could be something exciting. And that's what branding is. It's the micro delight that happens. So now that we have so many things in place, like so many micro design elements, brand is live.
And micro delights.
And the brand is existing in so many places. It's on the ground. It's alive. How do you feel now that everything is in place after 9 months? How did the delivery feel?
I remember we were sitting in Daisy. We were having a video call. Ram was also there. So I was getting emotional and I was telling him कि when we first met Vidit, we told him everything about our life, कि कबीर से लेके हमारी मैरिज से लेके हम क्या सोचते हैं अपने बारे में, एक दूसरे के बारे में, फंड के बारे में, क्या हमारा मिशन है, विजन है फंड के लिए, पॉडकास्ट के लिए, पॉडकास्ट को हम कैसे आगे लेना चाहते थे. वी जस्ट पेंटेड द पिक्चर फॉर हिम कि ये हमारे बारे में तुम्हें जानने की ज़रूरत थी, नाउ यू टेल मी कैसे करना है. तो जब वो पूरा ब्रीफ दे दिया, जब वो पूरा अपने बारे में सब बता दिया, देन विदित केम टू अस कि अच्छा ये मैं बारे में सोचता हूँ. तो जब ये सारी चीज़ें तुम देते हो और तुम्हें पता नहीं होता अगला बंदा क्या लेकर आने वाला है तुम्हारे पास, your fingers are crossed because you have worked with other designers. You know how does it feel to work with a designer जिसकी energy, vibe, thought process तुमसे sync नहीं करती है, कि तुमने brief दे दिया, बता दिया, अब कुछ और ही आ रहा है, and because you are not a design expert, तुम्हें पता नहीं है लॉजिकली तुम उसको कैसे बोलोगे कि ये मुझे इस बेसिस पे अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है. You'll just say मज़ा नहीं आ रहा है, एंड मज़ा नहीं आ रहा है इज समथिंग डिज़ाइनर्स को बहुत पिस ऑफ कर देता है ये स्टेटमेंट कि बताओ क्या नहीं मज़ा आ रहा है, कलर नहीं अच्छा लग रहा है, शेड नहीं अच्छा लग रहा है, शेप्स नहीं अच्छी लग रही है, मज़ा क्या होता है. तो मेरा वो फियर था विदित को जब पहली बार ब्रीफ दिया, बताया कि यार, क्योंकि मेरे साथ पहले ऐसा हो चुका है, तो मेरे को ऐसा लगा कि यार व्हाट इफ नहीं वो चीज़ आई तो हाउ विल आई कन्फ्रंट विदित दैट आई डोंट वांट टू वर्क विद यू, क्योंकि मेरे को मज़ा नहीं आया. वो मेरा फियर था. तो वो टाइम से ये टाइम तक मतलब बहुत ही
सुपर नॉस्टैल्जिक राइट नाउ कि अब विदित जा रहा है, राइट,
विदित के साथ
घर में रह रहा है फॉर द लास्ट 5 डेज.
रात के 10 बजे विदित को मैसेज करना कि विदित ये ज़रा एडिट कर देना, न्यूज़लेटर भी है, न्यूज़लेटर भी ठीक कर देना, न्यूज़लेटर के जो अभी
विदित पीआर एडिट कर रहा है, व्हाट्सएप मैसेज एडिट कर रहा है जो एलपीस को जा रहे हैं.
एंड देन वी वर लाइक विदित, क्योंकि तुमने सारा ओनरशिप लेके किया है and we are doing this event, you have to come here, book your tickets. It was Vidit's birthday and he missed celebrating his birthday in Calcutta, and it didn't feel like his birthday because it was just one day before the event. Since morning he was just working. रात तक ऐसा लगा नहीं था कि बर्थडे जैसा भी कुछ है. और अनफॉर्चुनेटली जिस रेस्टोरेंट में हम डिनर करने गए वहाँ केक भी अवेलेबल नहीं था, तो पेस्ट्री कट करी तो वो बिल्कुल ही वाइब किल हो गई. बट नाउ दैट Vidit is leaving and he has lived with us for the last 1 week or so, I have already started feeling emotional कि अभी तक एकदम हक से विदित को कि विदित ये काम कर दो, विदित ये काम कर दो, विदित ये जब मेरा खुद का लिंक्डइन पोस्ट भी ड्राफ्ट दे दिया, विदित इसको थोड़ा सा बेटर कर देना.
You'd send me an image कि मैं डाल रही, I'm like रुको, I have an idea, and I would create my work only.
Yeah.
We plan to go somewhere 4 p.m. मैं खुद काम बना के लेट करके हम लोग फिर 7 बजे निकलते हैं.
And I was also mentioning to Vidit कि ऐसे ऐसे इतना टाइम हम लोगों ने ब्रांडिंग में लगाया है. 1 महीना तो सिर्फ नाम रखने में लगा दिया, फिर बाकी 2-3 महीने सिर्फ लोगो और कलर्स पे कर दिए. तो जिस दिन हम ये कॉल कर रहे थे विदित से कि डेजी में इवेंट होने वाला है और वेबसाइट, तो विदित ने उस टाइम बोला वेबसाइट लाइव हो गया. एंड वी टुक अ लाइक थोड़ा एक पॉज लिया, सबने अपने सिस्टम पे वेबसाइट खोली. लाइक हैप्पी वाला एक्सप्रेशन सबके फेस में. एंड विदित, आई स्टार्टेड टेलिंग विदित कि जब आप ब्रीफ देते हो तो इट्स ऑलमोस्ट लाइक कि यू हैव कंसीव्ड बट यू डोंट नो it's a girl or a boy, but you wish for a girl or you wish for a boy. अगर वही निकलता है then ये जो तुम्हारी एनर्जी होती है, that was what I was feeling after having the first glimpse of our website. He said, by the way, it's been 9 months working together. So it's been a great journey. I think we all learned a lot from the process and from working with each other. We all three come from different backgrounds.
और बात करेंगे तो रोना आ जाएगा. Thank you.
The thing is, it's important that all of us took ownership, right?
Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah.
if I came and say कि यार, I'm telling you to change your personal LinkedIn का messages. Like
Yeah.
you can do whatever you want, but you trusted me कि Vidit is saying something, it might make sense. And you're like, Vidit, ये थोड़ा मुझे ऐसा अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है. And there is no ego, right? नहीं चल रहा है, ठीक है? Let's figure out what can happen, right? The fact that there is so much mutual respect and trust that constantly works out. We did not sign up for content strategy and writing. You didn't even know I can write. This is not what you were expecting. But you're like, हाँ, it makes sense. Let's try this. I'm like, okay, where are you sending emails? Oh, Luma. What is Luma? I've never heard about it. We pick things on the fly. I am a graphic designer. मैं Figma में काम नहीं करता. I'm like, Siddhartha, I'll make a fancy presentation in Illustrator. I'll give it to you a PDF. You'll have to change one text and the entire presentation will get destroyed. Let's make it in Figma. It's easy, it's simple, we'll figure it out. I picked up Figma while doing Neon just so that we can give a good product that's handover, right? So the fact that we were able to do so much, create new assets, we had these characters. Remember, we made this Lego character at the
Yes.
start, and I'm like, Lego is simple to do. You don't have to worry about doing illustrations or whatever.
Yeah.
खरीद लो Lego, कुछ pose में डाल दो, कर लो. Then came generative AI, and we create like so many cool, funky Legos, and that became the aesthetic. People now love those Legos, and that became associated with us. So even when the brand was done, I didn't know we'd have these things. In the last 2 weeks, so many things happened, and I'm like, the brand never felt more alive than it did when it is out there. The strategy never felt clearer now that we've talked about it. In the start, we took everything, we walked forward, but it was all still boardroom design. Presentation में ही थे, हमारे दिमाग में ही था, बातचीत में ही रह गई थी. Now that things are live, it feels really relieving because as designers, we tend to see our designs fall apart quite a bit. Presentation दे दी, everything is good. Final production में कुछ ना कुछ रह जाता है ना, like इतना महीने मेहनत किए and like this last sense of things falls apart. So I severely believe in the fact that design can't trickle down from top. It needs to start from the bottom. We could sound very cool in a Zoom meeting, but if the person coming in the event did not feel the brand, it doesn't matter. Remember you guys told me ki in the event talk something about the brand.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? If we start talking about the brand and have to tell the concept of the brand on a microphone,
Yeah.
you're not going to have my audio on your website saying that this is what Neon is.
Yeah.
Unless the brand is felt in instinct, it doesn't matter. And
I was so happy people wearing neon color shirts in our event to feel neon.
correct. And this fact that everything bleeds down, now we have a phrase like neon and neon that came out. And earlier we were Be Neon. Like that's how we started and planned everything.
Yeah.
Near the course of the thing, I had a cool idea. Neon and neon ka coaster acha ban raha hai. There was this coaster, neon and neon and on, and I like putting things in a circle.
Yeah.
So I'm like, neon to repeat ho raha hai, on and on and on and on. It's like a song. And we named this the drink. People liked the drink, and now this became the brand focus. This couldn't have been strategized. It just came because we trusted the process. And I think the fact that you wish to create something beautiful together in the end will lead to it.
I'm happy that we recorded this conversation. It was not part of our plan, but Siddharth came up with this idea. Let's just chat with Vidit and record the conversation and put it out there. Because as I mentioned earlier, that we are only going to remember the milestones of this process. We will never remember the small details. But I think because we are doing this podcast, recording it, we'll be making it live on our YouTube channel, people will be able to learn from our processes. Because you don't learn, we have made this logo and we have put it out there on our website. What do you learn? You only learn
Nothing.
we are neon. But what's the process to reach there? There is a lot to learn from that process.
Exactly,
And
right.
people will be learning a lot from Vidit's journey. And Vidit has a cool branding, witchcraft.
Yeah.
And
Like, what is the story of witchcraft, right? I want to conclude on this. Ki yaar, Kala Jadoo, black magic.
so it kind of comes down to exactly what you were saying right now, right? On the website, the logo will be in the corner. People will just say, हाँ 100x था, नाम चेंज किया, logo चेंज किया, हो गया. But it's a lot more than that. It's a lot more than what meets the eye. तो जब सब कुछ जो दिखता है वो होता नहीं है. Like there's a lot more that's in the surface. And witchcraft basically came from the fact that either design is too rationalized कि इस कलर का मतलब ये है एंड ये रिप्रेजेंट करता है एंड इसमें कॉन्फिडेंस है, क्लैरिटी है, ट्रस्ट है. लाइक नहीं है, वो ब्लू कलर है, प्लीज. इतना कुछ नहीं है उसमें. लाइक आई कैन बिल्ड अ स्टोरी अराउंड इट बिकॉज आई हैव बीन इन मार्केटिंग. आई एम नॉट फ्रॉम अ डिजाइन बैकग्राउंड, सो आई हैड टू काइंड ऑफ hustle and get into it, try to sound like a designer while not being it. So I got very good at just sounding like a designer. And then I started feeling that everyone is talking the same thing, but it's not meaning anything. Like हम लोग बात करेंगे, I'll tell you this is what you are, this is what you are. Like हाँ cool तो लग रहा है. You'll walk out of the room and you're like, पर बोला क्या वो? Like 5 नाम निकालेंगे, उसमें से एक लेके जाएंगे. Who does that? Right? So the process is unfamiliar, but I'll know I'll deliver the outcome you want. I don't care how it happens. I don't know what I'll do to get to it. We'll have to pick up software. We'll have to hire someone else. We'll tell Nancy to design for herself. I don't know. But what's important is you trust me and I will get the outcome. At the end of the project, you should be like, कि कैसे हुआ ये सब? By witchcraft.
Now, Vidit will be leaving us on Saturday, and it's already Thursday, and I'm feeling a little emotional. But the worst part is I can't ask him कि दोबारा काम करेंगे. It's been a lengthy process for us. Now we want to focus on the main job, so I can't tell him कि ठीक है काम करते हैं दोबारा.
That's true.
It was
but
pleasure hosting you with it.
it was a pleasure being here, and it feels like I'm in my own show because of all these things. It feels like ये तो हमारा ही है.
Thank you so much for listening to this. This is a very special episode because this culminates what went into those 9 months and what relationship we share with it, right?
The man behind our brand Neon.
The new existence. Thank you so much. And do share, right, what you learned from this episode in the comments.